Hey man, thanks for checking out Billy the Kid Adventures. Today we're at East 86th in Cleveland, Ohio, birthplace of Nightmare on Elm Street's Freddy Krueger. Released in 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street introduced the world to horror icon Freddy Krueger. Part scary killer and part comedian, Freddy was as likely to slash someone with his trademark razor glove as he was to tell a bad joke. The first Nightmare film also marked the first major film of a young Johnny Depp. Freddy's popularity continued to grow over the years, leading to 8 Nightmare on Elm Street films, including one with him battling fellow horror movie star Jason from the Friday the 13th films in the aptly titled Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy's fame resulted in a spin-off TV show, Freddy's Nightmares, in which he served as a jovial host, the creation of his own comic book, and the manufacture of several action figures. So just how is Cleveland responsible for Freddy Krueger? Well, while still in the early stages of his movie career, Cleveland Collinwood High graduate Wes Craven drafted a unique horror film screenplay based on a nightmare theme. He'd seen news stories about Asian war refugees experiencing extreme PTSD nightmares that led to several of them actually dying. Wes needed an evil, scary character for this nightmare theme and recalled getting the fright of his life while growing up on Cleveland's East Side.
Never sleep again.
Wes's magazine articles noted the family's apartment was at East 86th near Wade Park Avenue when he was frightened by the man who served as the inspiration for Freddy. Intrigued to find the actual address, I found the address for Caroline Craven, Wes's mom, in a 1950 Cleveland phone book, and 1458 East 86th was indeed just a short distance from Wade Park Avenue, as Wes had stated. From the family's second-story apartment window, a little past midnight, a young Wes Craven heard a man shuffling below. When he checked it out, he, much to his surprise, saw that man staring up at him. The man, wearing a fedora, would later become the inspiration for Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, ironically, the location on East 86th that spawned Freddy Krueger is today nothing more than a vacant lot in a Cleveland neighborhood plagued by urban blight. Perhaps a fitting location for such a scary character. And what about the origin of the name for Wes's scary character for Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, once again, Wes tapped his Cleveland roots and recalled how he was bullied in junior high school by, you guessed it, some punk named Freddy. Another surprising thing about Wes Craven and his Cleveland roots was that he was raised in a devout Baptist household. Behind me is the former location of Huff Avenue Baptist Church. This is where a young Wes Craven, in his strict Baptist upbringing, would spend most of his Sundays all day learning about good versus evil, a theme he would use in his Nightmare on Elm Street movies featuring Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven commented several times that his Baptist church upbringing provided getting a healthy dose of hellfire, and to that point, Huff Avenue Baptist Church ironically burned down. Quite the coincidence for one parishioner who would later become the creator of Freddy Krueger. And talking about coincidences, a few blocks away on Huff Avenue from where Wes Craven, creator of Freddy Krueger, attended church, was Huff Elementary School, where kindergarten teacher Marvin Hamilton taught school prior to heading to Hollywood and going on to portray the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. If you want to learn more about Cleveland's Wicked Witch Marvin Hamilton, the link to the video is right below on the page. Feel free to check it out. There's more to the Cleveland Freddy Krueger connection, specifically with regards to Robert Englund, the actor who played Freddy. Behind me is Lakewood Civic Auditorium. In the 1970s, it was host to the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival, better known today as the Great Lakes Theater. A young Robert Englund, classically trained, was part of the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival troupe at the time. In the play of Godspell, he was Judas, and as he noted in several interviews over the years, this was the role that ultimately launched his career to becoming Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. Here's a quick look at Robert and the cast of the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival's 1971 production of Godspell. A newspaper review of Godspell notes Robert's performance of Judas as that of a memorably talented clown and villain. Kind of sounds like the Freddy Krueger role he'd play some years later. And I don't know if these new Freddy Krueger-inspired Nike running shoes would have helped evade Freddy, but they sure look pretty cool. On that note, sweet dreams, and thanks again for checking out this Billy the Kid adventure tale of Cleveland's Freddy Krueger.